But, it's like the guy doesn't believe in evolution, so he doesn't believe in science. History...
I take issue up with that, because that does not mean that he's a dumb man or unintelligent, and you can roll your eyes at me.
I'm not rolling my eyes. I just turned my head. I turned my head slowly.
But to use that as an argument, I don't believe in evolution.
He also doesn't believe in history. He says that the pyramids are filled with grain.
But intelligent design, there are many people and great scientists that are all over the world that believe in intelligent design.
Really? I'd like to meet them.
I would love to bring them. I would love to bring them on the show. I would like to have the show have them on.
We'll have them on. Let's have a debate between Darwinism and intelligent design.
We will invite folks on because we want to have as many conversations as we can. But what I never understood is why can't, now maybe I'm crazy, but why can't both be true? Why can't both be true?
To say that someone that believes in intelligent design does not believe in science is silly. The two are compatible.
How? How? Explain it.
You're putting me on the spot.
It was in the director's cut?
Unrated.
Jesus, as you've never seen me. I couldn't breathe. My face was all swollen.
Full-on King James version, baby.
Don't rape a dolphin.
And welcome to Atheist Airwaves, episode number 114. I'm Christian Ferris.
I'm Reb Spence.
I'm Ryan Trexler.
And I'm Heather Schaefer.
We record live every Tuesday at 7:30 Central on Ustream right now. So come join us and participate in the live destruction of our own show in our chat room. Our intro audio this week is Candace Cameron Bure crashing and burning on The View when asked to explain how creationism makes any sense at all. She was stopped completely dead in her tracks, and I think it's because she's just not used to making a religious statement that isn't followed by amen.
I thought it was interesting. Like, they went to a commercial break, and then right afterwards, the lady says, like, oh, I just Googled, like, 2% of scientists think that creationism is legitimate in any form.
Worse than that was I don't know who the woman was who responded to that, but she was like, Candace is all like, all these famous scientists all around the world. She's like, only 2%. And the other one was like, my father, my brother, and my sister are all scientists, and they're creationists.
Those are the 2% right there. Her father, her brother, and her
people.
Sister. Those three people are the 2%.
It drives me crazy when people do that, when they believe that is a good response to a statistical fact that 2% of all scientists believe that creationism is a real thing, and they think that an argument against that is, well, I know someone who does.
And I do wonder if, like, their family members, they just happen to be Christians, so thus, like, at church on Sunday, like, yeah, God, Bible,
compartmentalizing,
whatever. But they're like, whenever they actually, like, if they're even like real scientists, I don't know, whatever. And then they go, then they're like, oh yeah, evolution, totes legit. Like, I wonder if there's a disconnect there, or if they are those 2% of actual creationists.
Well, there are some good scientists. Francis Cullen is the one that comes to mind, who is a genuinely good scientist and a creationist, but he also accepts that evolution is true. So, I mean, there are people who are not crackpot. Well, I mean, maybe that makes you a crackpot by definition. I don't know. But, I mean, he's a good scientist. But that also brings me to what Whoopi Goldberg said in that clip, which is why can't they both be true? And that's probably the least crazy thing that got said in this whole segment. But it's one of the ones that drives me the most insane. It's like, on the one hand, we have evolution, which we have pretty much incontrovertible proof that evolution happens. There may be some mechanisms we don't understand, but we know for a fact, and quoting Francis Collins, just the DNA evidence alone tells us that evolution is a fact. If we had no other evidence, that alone. On the God side, we have
the Baba.
And, my grandma was sick, and I prayed for her, and she got better.
So everything else must be true, too, about the Bible.
Right.
So the problem with what Whoopi said and what people saying that, oh, well, my friend's a scientist and they're Christian, so therefore they're a creationist, is they're giving equal weight to this massive evidence and dozens of scientific fields that base on and reaffirm evolutionary theory to, well, the few things we don't understand, God, that must have been where God had his hand in it. And they're not the same thing, and they don't, you can't, I guess you can use that one belief to fill in what we don't understand, but every few years, that little bit of room for belief gets smaller and smaller and smaller. And
but I think this is not even a God of the gaps argument that Whoopi Goldberg is making. It's not, oh, we don't know, so therefore. What she's doing is she's just putting God on top of all of the information we have and saying, all these things we know, evolution, that is God's tool. That's how he created the animals and the people. It's more insidious than the God of the gaps because, like you said, God of the gaps keep getting smaller and smaller. This will never go away.
My response to that, and I've had to respond to this to even my children and my ex-husband, is, okay, fine, that may be what happened. And when they prove that that's what happened, I am willing to accept it. But until then, there isn't an iota of proof that points to that, right. So I am unwilling to accept it as a possibility.
Right. And I legitimately, the level of proof they have for this God doing these things is on par with Elvis still being alive, aliens probing redneck butts, that kind of thing. That's it. It's that's how legitimate their evidence is. And I'm not believing any of it.
I'm really surprised that Candace didn't, hold up a crocoduck or something.
Yeah, it is. I think it is good to point out that Candace Cameron is Kirk Cameron's sister. So I feel like they have some sort of superpowers. It's like the
Wonder Twins.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
When our creation sinus rings combine.
Form of a crocoduck.
Yeah, she was not prepared for that argument. I wonder if she has ever had to defend it with how unprepared she was. She you have me on the spot.
I
just love that laugh. That laugh was just so amazing.
I do have to give Whoopi some credit for actually you know what? Instead of saying just well, you know what? We'll just have to agree to disagree. That kind of, I hate when people do that bullshit. But I did I would actually be kind of interested to see if they actually bring a creationist scientist onto the show and what they have to say.
She was definitely good at neutralizing the situation.
But I doubt they'll ever bring one on.
Well, no.
So the last thing I wanted to mention was towards the end of the entire segment, Joy Behar is talking about all of the evidence for Bette Midler. Ryan, before the show, was saying, oh, it's Whoopi Goldberg and Bette Midler, which I can totally get. I mean, sort of.
I hate you guys.
Don't get it. Don't support him in this.
It's because women all look the same to him. Joy Behar is sitting there talking about all the evidence for evolution on and on and on, and basically implying you have to be a freaking idiot if you look at all this and whatever. And Candace turns to her and says, oh, but you can go to the Creation Museum and get information there too.
I like, however, that other lady that used Google learned more than Candace did during a commercial break about evolution versus creationism.
I think that speaks to the source evaluation from last episode. The Creationist Museum may not be the best source of information.
But I mean, it's exactly like that conversation because I mean, literally these people look at this thing and say, oh, I have my information, you have your information. So it's all just information and we just got to agree to disagree or, whatever.
Yeah, information's there. I guess we'll just have to.
I think people just look at the published information and don't go further into the methodology for getting that information.
It's like, who would build a huge museum to all this? That just doesn't make no sense. Who did that? Who did that? That makes sense.
It's a sad statement on the state of our country, and I think we're going to talk a lot more about that as we go on through the show today. Let's move on. In shocking news this week, Catholic bishops have come out and condemned all pornography. Everyone give your shocked faces. Okay, that was good.
Wait, like lesbian porn too?
Yeah.
Damn it.
Even lesbian porn. All porn. Softcore, hardcore.
Even though they all look the same to you.
Even the child porn?
Even the child porn. But I mean, they
It's
do
surprising. Like they even condemn child porn. I'm so surprised.
Out one side of their mouth, anyhow.
So the bishops wrote that pornography was, quote, a dark sign of the modern world that causes corrosive damage, unlike having sex with young boys, which they didn't even know was illegal until very recently.
Oh, that was like my favorite story from like forever ago. Where it's like, oh, it's against the law. Oh, well, like 20 years ago, it wasn't against the law. So I thought like it was okay.
I don't really stay current with the news, so.
So Bishop Dick Malone of Buffalo, New York, that's his porn name. Bishop Dick Malone. His name is actually Richard, but I helped him out.
He's welcome.
He said that the report they released this week, quote, shows our collective concern for the widespread problem of pornography in our culture today. Virtually everyone is affected by pornography in some way. And I agree with that.
I sure am.
Right?
They're affected positively by porn.
Virtually everyone in that room while they were signing this document was probably affected by porn later that evening in their hotel rooms, and probably a lot of them defiled their
Right.
holy temple.
If you spent all day talking about porn, you know, like the first thing you do when you get back home, you're like, oh man, I gotta look at some porn now.
Like you're just thinking about it all day at work.
Like, I'm going to have to look at porn when I go home because we covered this story.
Right.
Well,
I'm
my
looking at
iPad's
porn.
on silent. I guess I could do it now.
It's like just turn it so that the listeners, the people in the chat room can see.
Whatever
what's
they
going
know.
on.
So they can see.
Yeah, we'll just put it under the table.
We need a picture-in-picture porn feed during our show.
I feel that would help our ratings.
I think you're right. So the report also says this: video games, music lyrics, music videos, clothing. See, they have this list of just the things that just make them so hot back in the Vatican. Even costumes have become progressively more sexualized, including content targeted to children and adolescents who, surprisingly, watch porn and masturbate as well. Just going to say.
I know I did when I was like 13. So.
Oh, hell yeah.
That's a kid. That's considered a kid, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's.
And let's be clear that none of these things teach you how to masturbate. You do it because it's a natural thing that people do.
Yeah, I learned how to masturbate before I ever saw porn. That was just a natural reflex.
Yeah, me too. Yeah. That's just the thing that...
There's no like masturbating for dummies book that they like.
No one had to show me how to do it.
Figured that shit all out on my own. I'm like a pornography genius.
I don't think I masturbated before I had sex for the first time.
Really? That's interesting. I
You're
wonder.
weird.
I don't know that she is though. I wonder what the statistics about.
I bet it'd be actual statistics that we found though.
I would just figure at some point, like, I don't know, you're taking like a bath and like water rubs up against you, like, ooh, what happens when I do more of that?
I gotta
Yeah, but by the time I was old enough to start masturbating, I wasn't taking baths anymore. Like, I stopped taking baths when I was 8. Reb, I don't know when you started masturbating.
Oh, I don't.
Well, I mean, technically, children younger than 8 masturbate. They don't masturbate to orgasm.
No. I have a 9-year-old and a 7-year-old. I know. I've been telling them that the living room when guests are over isn't an appropriate time to get their wiener out for like 5 years.
I don't actually have that problem. I mean, my son is actually pretty
It's like,
private.
put a towel down so there's no crusties
My
on the
kids give
couch.
0 fucks.
Anyway, getting through this guy's statement. Maintaining purity is a serious challenge in this environment. There's all of this concern out of these guys and all this hand-wringing over this made-up, stupid concept of purity.
I fucking hate that word so much. Like it never, whenever it's applied, it's never good, except when we're talking diamonds. Other than that, not really. I mean, when you're talking about people, when you're talking about races, when you're talking about sex, it's just, it doesn't apply.
Like the only thing I want pure is my water, and even that is okay if it's like 99.9.
Right? Like you've never drank a bottle of water that was already open and been sitting in your car for 2 days, like I have.
Sure. I'm like, there's definitely been bacteria growing in there. But
Right. But I can't see it, so.
That's never happened to me. No, I don't know. That's gross.
You've never drank two-day-old water?
I have
You've
more.
never driven to work with a hangover and saw half a bottle of water sitting in your passenger seat then.
Fair enough.
To get back to the topic of porn, Tech Rock makes a good point. If you tip $69 to our Patreon account, we'll do porn on the show. Sure, why not?
Why not? Any kind of porn you want.
Any kind of porn they want.
He also, Tech Rock also was talking about, he said he didn't start masturbating until he was 16. Yay, Catholic life. And that's so true. I mean, I talked about this probably a lot of times on the show, but my Catholic upbringing brought so much guilt to the masturbation thing. And that's really what I think is wrong with this entire report, which is it's just causing more pain and suffering among people who are just doing normal things. Now, we've talked before that there are certainly negative aspects to porn. I mean, it can give
Unrealistic, ideas about what's involved during sex.
Right. I mean, if you learned how to have sex from porn, dear Lord, that shit's gonna suck.
I think that clears up pretty quickly though after the first
after
couple
the first
times.
time, yeah.
Because I know that the first time I had sex, I remember consciously thinking, this is seriously what everybody's talking about. It has to be better than this. In comes the masturbation after the first time I had sex. So, I mean, that's got to be cleared up. Maybe the first time you're disappointed, maybe the second time, but eventually you have to realize that you aren't like a porn star either.
But I think, we're all like pretty much prodigies in this area. And I don't I don't think that your average person probably catches on that fast, and they probably internalize there's something wrong with me. I certainly think that Catholic teaching brings that to you, that you keep wanting to touch yourself, and then you think it's wrong because God says somehow not to touch yourself, and it just causes a lot of inner turmoil. It causes a lot of conflict that's just totally unnecessary. If we just taught people real biology, real psychology, real sexuality, medically based, reason based, it doesn't seem that hard.
And it's not just the kids too. I think it's also the parents as well need to have if you walk in on your kid, actually accidentally, diddling themselves, like don't shame them and make them feel like an awful, terrible, dirty person. Just give them their space, come and talk about, where to do it. Make sure you lock the door, that way, they don't accidentally expose themselves to the younger sister or something.
Oh no. What if?
So are they supporting their assertion with any,
oh my God,
air quotes, evidence?
So I tried so hard to read this thing. It's 28 pages long, and I tried so hard to read it.
Well, that's good for you because I didn't even realize it existed. So please explain.
I could not do it. And so there were a couple of things that I was really interested in reading, and I just couldn't do it. The first one was they promised in the foreword that they were going to outline all the things that Jesus taught about sex. And I was like, oh, I would be really interested in seeing what they're going to say about that. And pretty much, nah. They said they were going to do that, and they talked about Jesus, like, oh, Jesus wants you to be a good person. But
what did Jesus even say about sex besides cleave to your wife? And that's
pretty much nothing. Yeah. And pretty much all of the supporting evidence from what I read, because I had to skip after a while because I was like, this is so awful, was all Old Testament stuff. It was God made man and woman. Great. Some men like men, some women like women, and God made people to want to have sex. Now what? It was a lot of things from Genesis, Psalms, all this crap. And as much as they like to run away from the Old Testament and pretend it doesn't apply anymore, they sure used it a lot, because the Old Testament was a lot more wrapped up in the sex than the New Testament.
Well, when your evidence is imagination based, I imagine that it's pretty easy to go back and forth between them, cherry picking through what agrees with your logic right now and ignoring what doesn't agree with your logic later at some other point in time about some other subjects.
Right.
Because when you have no, guidelines, no rules, where does the imagination stop? And who's to say, that it's okay to do this and not okay to do this? And like I said, when does the imagination stop?
Tech Rock in the chat room says that he was shamed when his mother found just a nudie. My sister told my mother, and oh God, the lecture was horrible. Made me scared to even think about sex for a while. And that's exactly what I'm talking about, is these puritanical attitudes towards sex that make no sense. And it's all based on this stupid religious crap.
Why do you think religion does try and control sex to this
Daryl Ray
magnitude?
wrote a really good book about that.
Yes, he did. I was exactly what I was about to say. And I think I talked about this. It was probably post-show, so I'll talk about it again right now.
I don't really listen when you talk, though, so I might have missed
That's
it.
fine.
I tune out too.
I faded it out.
I asked him a question when he was down here a couple of weeks ago, and about why is it that all these religions target sex? Because I was like, I don't feel like these bishops are sitting in a room twirling their mustaches saying, how can we really
Right,
screw
and
with
it
these people's
started out a
sexuality?
natural thing. Why didn't just it continue on a natural thing?
So here's what he said, and it's absolutely brilliant. He said, there have been thousands and thousands and thousands of religions. In New York alone, in this one town he was talking about, there were 150 religions started in the last 200 years, and only 2 of them are still around, and it's evolutionary. So the religions that fade out are the ones that don't get into your skull with the sexuality thing, that don't hook you into this guilt cycle of, I really want to touch myself, now I need to go back and tell Jesus I'm sorry, so I have to get more religious to make up for this. So it's really just the religions that don't do that to you don't survive.
Well, because sex is hardwired into your brain, just like eating and sleeping. So,
Right,
if it was a religion that shamed you for eating or sleeping, that everyone would die in that religion. Whereas, for one where they, guilt you out of sex, you won't die just from not
It's
having
like the
sex.
one primal instinct that they can control or attempt to.
Or try to, yeah.
Well, and it's so deeply, hooked into your psyche.
Right.
I mean, it's really effective.
It's more about, rather than controlling what you're actually doing, it's making you feel bad for what you're actually doing and then telling you the only way not to feel bad is to come back next Sunday.
That's not the only way not to feel bad.
Fair enough. Last thing I wanted to mention about this is the report. They also decided it would be a good time to remind everyone that masturbating is, quote, gravely contrary to chastity and the dignity of one's body.
That's so weird. I think if I were a religious figure and leader in a religion, that I would go, masturbate it up, because I think it would help.
That's just one more avenue they can guilt you with, though. If you let them get off any steam, then they're gonna release some of that guilt. But you got to keep any contact with your penis, all guilt.
Wait, Heather has a penis?
or your
It would
micro
be okay
penis
if
or
I did,
whatever,
Ferris. Okay.
I was just I was unaware.
Or
I
your
would feel
bean,
guilty if I
whatever.
came in contact with Reb's penis, though. So maybe
You don't
that's what he
have to feel
meant.
guilty about that. It's quite nice.
I would. I may shame myself.
You should have Courtney paint a picture.
Right? And I can hang it in my bedroom.
All right, let's move on to the next story. Jeremy Brown is the football coach for Mosley High School in Florida, and I'll give you 2 guesses what his religion is.
Muslim.
That's one.
Jewish.
All right, he's a Christian, believe it or not.
In Florida?
A football coach?
What? He's not in trouble yet, but you can believe he's going to be after this. I thought I'd let him confess his crimes in his own words, so I pulled some audio from a local news story where he talked about his top priorities as a football coach.
For many young athletes of faith, religion is a part of who they are and their identity on and off the field. But for this coach, teaching the game of football isn't the most important thing.
It's got to be sharing Christ with kids. It's got to be, creating an environment where they can be successful. I'm in the business of earning crowns and not rings. If every kid on our football team is saved, then I'm I've been successful as a coach.
Well, I never really had a coach tell me about Christ or anything like that, and how we pray every day before, after practice. It's really helped me kind of get closer to Christ and help me give the glory to him.
Well, he taught us, like, football's going to end, and, like, one day you won't play it again, and then that if you have God, then everything will be all right.
I feel like this would be the quickest episode of Judge Judy ever.
Gavel, no.
This public school coach just said on live television that his number one priority is converting students to Christianity. Aside from being grossly illegal, it's just so crass. And what would they say if he was Muslim or Jewish or a Satanist or an atheist, and he got on television and said, yeah, my number one thing is to draw people into atheism.
My number one thing is the destruction of the God virus.
Then I would be a little less likely to report him to anyone. I would just be like, well, you know.
That's a secular idea, right? We live in a secular government.
I like his quote later on in the article. It says, I know it's probably not, maybe not politically correct. Like, I have an idea that I shouldn't be doing this.
I've got an inkling in the back of my head.
Right.
There's a little thing in the back of my head saying,
But I'm in Florida, so I'm probably going to get away with it for a while.
I think that he's actually trying to use Jesus to save his job because he's not a very good football coach, apparently.
I saw that 4-6.
Yeah. They're 4-6. So I'm just like, I envision him sitting in his... I'm sure he's got a study at home because he's got lots of books. This guy has a ton of books. I'm sure of it.
Right.
He has a whole wall of books,
Right.
and they all say the Holy Bible.
Right. From every motel room he's ever been to his whole life.
So I'm just like, okay, you guys, I know this isn't going well, but I just want you to know I'm not really focusing on the football. I'm focusing on saving your kids' souls.
See, why wouldn't he just go be like a youth pastor somewhere where this wasn't illegal as fuck?
Oh, I know.
Okay, why?
Youth pastor doesn't pay shit, and being even a high school football coach is pretty good money.
Really, even at 4-6, huh?
Oh, yeah. The coaches get paid better than teachers.
Yeah, they get like paid. Well, I don't know about in Florida, but most places the head coaches have to be teachers of something. So he would get teacher pay and then extra pay for being a football coach. So.
Is Christ a subject? He seems to be a teacher of Christ.
Well, I mean, if you ask the first player with his story, coach makes sure they pray before and after every practice. Yep. So that's like overtime the coach is racking up.
Right, and that's kind of upsetting because he was like, no one really ever talked to me about Jesus before this, and it's like, good. Like, you almost made it out alive.
They ain't supposed to talk to you about Jesus. Sly Monk in the chat room says that his head coach in high school walked around with a Bible. That's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Jesus. The other thing that really disturbed me about this, besides being the reporter, besides the fact that she was awful, I mean, she just... she's just terrible. But she really doesn't challenge this guy at all. She makes one attempt at suggesting that perhaps this is not legitimate
like
to do.
She knows maybe it's politically incorrect, probably also.
But why challenge the guy when he's just going to admit to his crimes live on television? I mean, you don't even have to work for it.
But the thing is, and I mean, there's 4 local TV stations in every decent sized market in the entire country, and nearly none of them are actually doing journalism. They're doing stories. So you're being told a story. There's no, and by the way, all the things this coach is doing is illegal, and we've opened an investigation and that sort of thing. Like, that's what journalism is like finding the truth and going, that's not right, and something needs to be done about it. Yeah. That's not what's happening here. They're like, people are going to watch this. It's going to get a zillion views on YouTube because it's a coach going, yay, Christ. And
it's a feel-good story.
Yeah. It's the fucking squirrel riding skis.
I don't feel good. Doesn't make me feel good.
It's not aimed at our audience.
Well, and he says, we just want the kids to know that they're loved and supported. And I'm like, there are actual ways of doing that besides introducing fictitious figures into their life. Like you could just make them feel loved and supported. That,
I do that with my kids every day.
Right.
Well, most days.
You could help them win some football games.
Not when they're being assholes.
Boy, wouldn't that be good for their self-esteem? This reporter does ask one student on the team what he thought about people who might say that it's not okay for the coach to do this. And I pulled the clip of what he said, too. So let's listen to that.
I don't agree with it. I see where they're coming from with it because not everybody has the same views, but a lot of Christians respect the views that people have about them not wanting that, so I just think that they should respect the views that Christians have about doing that.
Let me get this straight.
Please straighten it out for me. Like, I didn't really understand what that kid said.
Basically what he said is that non-Christians should just try to be as respectful of others' beliefs as Christians are of theirs. Because that's totally, this.
Oh, that's why I didn't understand it, because it's fucking bullshit. Oh.
This is why you don't ask 17-year-olds philosophical questions on television.
Or questions of law.
Or questions at all.
I'm going to say, but how respectful of it is that this coach's number one job, according to him, is to take students and remove their existing beliefs and supplant them with his own. That's not respectful.
Right. I'm sure though I doubt there is one, but there could be the atheist kid or Jewish kid or whatever other besides Christian kid on the team doesn't feel that they're being quite as respectful as they perceive themselves to be.
Obviously not. Somebody complained to the FFRF, right?
No.
Nope.
This has not gotten to the. Well, I'm sure someone has now.
It is now.
Yeah.
But prior to this, no. This is just this went on television.
Oh, it was literally just a feel-good story about look at the good works. That's what it
Yes.
was.
Yes.
What?
It's
no, that's crazy. That's crazy.
It's the squirrel on skis preaching Christ to the football players.
You know all those other places in America where everyone's going, to court, like, not here. Everyone's cool at it.
That's what I'm saying. It's like they're not even smart enough to hide it.
You know what? I take it back to, this reporter might have actually been pretty good at her job.
Probably
like she got this guy and these people to just like lay the whole thing out on TV. And we're like, no, this is Florida. Nobody's going to care.
She's like, I'm just going to put this right here.
Get that girl a raise.
Let's find out. Let's get her some reading classes or something so she can improve her on-air thing and like send her up the chain. I don't know what. I think it was NBC. Get her up to NBC News. Jeez. Anyone else have anything to add to that story before we move on?
No, I just can't believe it. I thought like someone had made a complaint. That's why it was a news story.
No, it's just a regular story as of now.
I guarantee you in a week or two, we'll be talking about the FFRF, the ACLU.
Where are they now?
Right, the girl's probably going to get fired or whatever because of it.
Right.
It's so sad.
Or not fired, but run out of town. Yeah, like, we're not going to, you tricked the coach into saying the truth. You know that's what they're going to do.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
Corpus Christi Atheist meets every Sunday at 5:30 p.m. This weekend, we will be meeting at Snoopy's on the Island. If you don't know where that is, you can visit ccatheist.com for a list of our public events. If you're interested in connecting with our affiliates, visit southtexascor.com to connect with any of our sister organizations. Snoopy's is like the new hotspot for us, I feel like.
I like their seafood. It's really good there.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I haven't been there yet, but I don't like doing like public social things.
We've never been there?
No.
Oh.
No, it's pretty good. They even have a Scooby's next door.
Your brother and I went there.
Oh, you went there with the funny one.
The funny one.
You know what, Heather? We're going to be there this Sunday. You should come.
Oh.
You could even bring your kids if they're in town.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll be there.
All right. In the wake of a scandal involving a Texas textbook calling African slaves workers, while actually using the word slave to refer to their white counterparts, the Texas State Board of Education proposed a program that should be a great big giant duh for everyone involved. They wanted to create this panel of university professors to fact check all of our public school textbooks, which sounds like an obviously good idea.
That sounds like a good idea.
Sounds like big government regulation to me.
Reb is channeling the Texas State Board of Education, who defeated the measure this week by a vote of 8-7. Yay, Texas. There were really that didn't surprise me at all.
I'm surprised there were 7.
Yes. Well, okay.
That's surprising.
There's 5 Democrats on the State Board of Education, but here's the number one surprise, okay, is that the person who suggested this was a Republican. Right? Wow. I was like, my reality has been shattered.
Integrity? Wow, that's crazy.
Is it integrity, or was there something in there that they didn't agree with, and they
They were probably planning on buying off the Board of Higher Education anyway.
I think the guy is from Dallas, and so
he's a Reagan Republican. Or
they're I don't know if that's a good thing,
right.
but they're Republican lighter in Dallas.
So that was the first big surprise to me, was like, this was a Republican idea, which is just great. I'm like, oh, I want to be surprised like this more often. The other one is that they got another Republican to vote for it. So I don't know where that person was from. But I did want to note that 100% of the Democrats voted for it, and 80% of the Republicans voted against. And let me reiterate, making sure the books we're giving to our elementary and high school children contain facts. They voted against that. So the next time some dumbass tells you that Republicans and Democrats are the same, please remember this.
You mean liberal PC, fact checking?
Yeah,
yes.
they say pin-headed liberals, or right?
Pointy-headed
liberals in the ivory tower with their facts.
Yeah.
With their historically accurate information.
Right.
So the 80% of the Republicans on the board who voted it down, they gave a whole bunch of reasons for why they did that. But my personal favorite one was the one who said that it would make the elementary and high school teachers who currently review textbooks to make sure they cover all of the state mandated material, it would make them feel less valued.
Oh, that's the fact I picked, or that's the quote I picked out too. I was like, oh, come the fuck on. We don't want to hurt anyone's feels.
It's probably like his wife.
I'm like,
or
now
something.
my kids are going to grow up stupid because you don't want to hurt anyone's feels.
Exactly.
Fuck your feels.
Exactly. That drove me absolutely insane.
That was totally the one I picked out and put in my notes. I was like, oh, fuck this. No.
So, given the choice between hurting someone's feelings and having factual information taught in our schools, obviously Texas sides with, let's not hurt anyone's feelings.
Right, but then they're like all these liberals with their little bitchy feels about the Confederate flag and the workers.
The workers.
That flag wasn't about the workers.
You mean industrious black Americans?
So Republican Barbara Cargill explained that some of the problems and inaccuracy stemmed from the fact that the teachers reviewing those textbooks are under tight deadlines, and they have limited time and limited staff to conduct these tests. She said, quote, "It's frustrating because it's our heads that roll if the media finds errors." And she's saying this while she's explaining why she voted against having more people involved.
You know who they need? They need the lady from The View and a commercial break. And just have her fact check.
With the Google.
With the Google. She can just fact check the textbooks on her commercial breaks during The View.
Problem solved.
Boom.
What is she doing during those commercial breaks? That's so important.
Fact checking shit, obviously.
She's probably got people doing her makeup and her hair and stuff, so she can just do that while they're doing that.
Right. On her phone. She can Google it.
What is going on in Texas is so awful. So awful. I don't know whether you've bothered reading any of your children's textbooks, Heather, but
they don't bring textbooks home.
That's probably better for your sanity.
Yeah.
Mine do, and it's awful.
Though Nathan did have a little thing on the since it's Thanksgiving, talking about the the turkey, the wild turkey almost being the national bird. And one of the questions said, if the turkey was the national bird, do you still think we'd eat it for Thanksgiving? And his answer was no, because it'd be the national bird and that'd be crazy. And I let him leave it because I'm like, well,
there you go.
There you go.
Sly Monk in the chat room says that it's a Republican attempt to keep the kids from being overeducated. And I think I think I would remove the word over and just say from being educated. And I wanted to note that the Republican Party here in Texas, part of their state platform last time around was to oppose the teaching of critical thinking skills to our children in our schools. And the reason they gave for being against teaching critical thinking skills is really telling. They say that because it tends to challenge their pre-existing ideas.
That was like the literal quote?
That is the literal quote.
Yay.
This is the Republican Party platform in Texas.
So when some dumbass tells you that Democrats and Republicans are the same, and I'm not a big fan of Democrats. However,
there are differences.
There are significant differences. But that is literally what their goal is. They want to control what children think. That is super scary.
Didn't we just talk about a story about an entity trying to control how you think and feel about things in order for you to follow what they're trying to tell you?
Republicans are totally on board for that.
Yeah. So
I think my biggest problem with this, and luckily I don't have children, so it doesn't really affect me.
No, that's lucky in a number
There's
of ways.
so many levels.
So lucky.
But if I ever did have kids, the problem I would have is that one day my kids are going to get hired by other kids from other states. And those now grown kids from, I don't know, fucking New York or whatever, are going to be like, you graduated high school from Texas? Where they teach that Noah made the Constitution? I'm going to pass you up for somebody else.
Moses made the Constitution.
Moses,
get your facts straight. Right?
Whatever bullshit biblical figure. Like, they're not going to, like, I would, if I was, from another, I'd look at it and be like, oh, you got a Texas high school education? I'm going to go with the guy from Jersey instead.
Yeah. Oh.
I hire people from Texas all the time.
I'm sorry.
Me too.
But I've said this repeatedly because I'm a carpetbagger. I'm a Yankee who came down here and stole a Texas job. And I look at what our education system is doing and the fact that Texas has one of the lowest rates of college graduation in the country. And not that, you have to be college educated to, be a productive member of society, but our elementary schools suck, our high schools suck, and no one goes to college. And so that's what's going to happen in Texas is that, you've got all this oil here. And for as long as that holds up, your economy is going to be great. But it's going to be people like me who come down and reap the benefits of it while everyone else is. I think Texas leads the nation in job creation, but they're all minimum wage jobs. Meanwhile, I got your higher paying job and not a Texan. And so I don't think that's an unfounded fear.
I guess I'm the exception. I was, raised in Texas educated, and got an okay job.
Of course there are exceptions.
Oh, yeah.
On average was what we're talking about.
But then again, I'm also an atheist in Corpus Christi, so
right,
that's quite the exception as well.
Well, I like that I came from California and I don't have a minimum wage job, and by comparison, I look amazing and I really don't have to try that hard. And to my Texas counterparts, they're like, man, this girl can work circles around. Did you hear what she said? She's so smart. I said, I'm going on break. Yeah, so by comparison, I look amazing, and I really don't have to, put out that much effort. It's kind of awesome.
I do have to say, having moved down here in the last 6 years, that the pace of things down here is very slow.
It is annoyingly slow.
Yeah.
From the way people bag your fucking groceries to the way they drive on the freeway to the way they mosey around. Yep. Like, that's not even walking. Like, do you even know where the fuck you're going? Then go there.
But we have such beautiful nature to take
no, we don't. We have gnarled up little tortured bushes that they call trees.
And parking lot diapers.
I swear, like, I don't know that I could have a real job in a northern state where people actually move at a genuine clip at this point because I've been so slowed down by Texas.
They would run you out of there.
Yeah.
They'd be like, you are not performing up to standards.
Right? And, you know, to this day, I go to meetings and I'm the first one there. And I sit in this room by myself for 10 or 15 minutes before people are like, oh, here I come. Gonna come to the meeting. Mm-hmm. It's weird down here, man.
It's probably because I got like better things to do besides go to meetings. You think about that?
Sit on their stoop and drink iced tea.
I don't know what that means, but okay. Sly Monk in the chat room says it's not hard to compete in the workforce in Texas. No shit.
I did see someone the other day post on their Facebook. They didn't get this job and they were like, I have a high school diploma. I've got a clean drug test and I show up to work on time. And I'm like, it is so sad that you're offended that you didn't get that job because you meet all of those qualifications.
You met the lowest bar for qualification.
Right.
Congratulations.
These are minimum requirements.
And I was like, those, okay.
Right, because probably a lot of our Texas listeners thought like, that person should have got that job. Like, what the fuck?
No, and like we don't even drug test at my job. So I'm like, do you have the other two things? And you can check yes on the high school diploma. We don't chat.
Like, he shows up to work on time. Holy shit.
If I could get 5 people out of 20 to do that.
Apologize to our Texas listeners.
Don't. Step your game up, assholes.
Sly Monk in the chat room says that the life tempo is noticeable coming from Austin to Corpus. Austin doesn't even count as Texas in my view. It's not Texas.
I mean, they have similar accents, but
it's like it's like Chicago, only they say y'all.
Yeah.
That's Austin. Let's move on to the next story. Our next story is out of the Cayman Islands, just so that we can all remember that there are crazy places and people that aren't Texas or Texans. Anthony Eden is a legislator in the Cayman Islands, which is where I keep all of my millions personally. I don't know about you guys.
I keep mine under my bed.
No, mine's in a Swiss account.
Oh, really?
Okay. Do they actually have those in Switzerland? Is that why there's a Swiss account?
Yeah.
Okay, that's where mine is.
I don't trust the government with my money, so...
I was like, fuck, I hope they don't call him a Swiss account and keep him somewhere else. And it's called Swiss. Like, that's an acronym. Shit.
And I'm looking so dumb right now after I just dumped on all these stupid texts.
Right?
I keep all my money in my gun safe.
So anyway, Mr. Eden recently gave a speech in which he called homosexuality a social and moral evil and compared it to bestiality and pedophilia. Because when you're a psycho-Christian, apparently you're always thinking about having sex with kids. I feel like they're very, very focused on sheep and children. No, it's just me.
What about baby sheep?
Someone think of the lambs, please. Oh, is that where Lamb of God came from? Oh. Their God is into it too. I never thought of that. Okay, so now...
Well, they were made in his image.
Oh, yeah, they were. The head of the Cayman Islands Human Rights Commission condemned the speech because, hello, he's the head of the Human Rights Commission. It's kind of his job to do that. I don't know. Leonardo Raznovich called Eden's remarks, quote, poisonous hate speech. And Anthony Bigot Eden did not care for that one bit. And
did you also take liberty with his name like Dick Malone?
I did.
Okay.
Actually, can we call this guy Dick Malone too?
Sure.
Okay. Dick Malone did not care for that one bit. And he called for Raznovich to step down from the Human Rights Commission, not for condemning his remarks and saying that, you know, suggesting that homosexuals should be second-class citizens is hate speech, but because, quote, it is my belief that we do not need an atheist chairing our Cayman Islands Human Rights Commission. I am sick and tired of some people disrespecting my Caymanian people. And I'm going to sneeze like a motherfucker. No, I'm not.
So he's sick of people disrespecting his Cayman people while he goes on rants about homosexuality.
But they're not people, Ryan. So that's you're missing.
They're dirty sheep fuckers.
Goat.
You're
Goat.
missing.
The good people do the
point.
sheep. The bad people do the goats.
It's that they're not people. So that's.
Nor are they atheists. So I mean, the irony is so thick in this thing. He's, you know, disrespecting homosexuals, he's disrespecting atheists, and then he's complaining about being disrespected for disrespecting them.
I don't know. I might be.
Pardon me.
Are you done? Are you done?
Probably not.
You should probably get another beer.
Sorry, I have allergies like a crazy person right now.
So I don't know. I may be biased, but I kind of feel that maybe way more atheists should be on, any council regarding human rights or civil rights or anything.
I think it would make
of
sense
that nature.
if we had at least 10% of people representing us in our communities were non-religious individuals, as per our representation in society.
Well, I feel that it would just be it would be appropriate. I mean, you put Catholics on religious boards. Let's put humanists on human rights boards, right? I mean,
derp,
right?
Makes sense.
Like if he was like, I don't want an atheist on the board at my church, I would be like, well, that's understandable.
Maybe their church would be better if there were more atheists on their board, though.
Oh, did you hear? I don't know that you were already gone. The new pastor at our local Unitarian church is an atheist. We have to get all on this guy.
Like,
shut up.
Like, is he like the
That's
permanent
awesome.
one, or is he just a temp like all the
He's
others?
a temp.
Oh.
He's a temp, but we got to get him to make some real changes.
Are they gonna like do away with the whole like, oh, and the God is
cancer.
created with cancer and
what
amoebas to eat your eyeballs? And
when Chris Johnson came down and
Right.
we had him, he actually gave
Because
the
I didn't
sermon.
go to the sermon. I didn't
Okay.
go to the service. I went to the showing.
So during the service, he gave the sermon, and after the sermon, there was this woman who told a story about how God created the earth. She created the earth. And then sprinkled cancer here and whatever. It was crazy.
They didn't say cancer. They're like grass and flowers and happiness and love just sprinkled all over the. But it's like and like everything else that's here too. Like, wouldn't she have also had to put that? I don't know. It was just horrible. And like the look on Chris Johnson's face as it was going through, it was just like.
I was like taking pictures, like.
He was like, "You're coming back for the screening, right? I need you to be here for this screening." Yeah, the next time someone's like, "You mean she?" when they're referring to God, I'm going to be like, "Oh, no, we don't want to. No, I don't want to be affiliated. No,
in any way, shape, or form.
At all."
So here's the other thing that really struck me about my own attitudes when I was reading this story, because all of this is about marriage equality, which they don't have in the Cayman Islands. And it's amazing to me how just a few months ago, when I would hear a story about another country fighting against marriage equality, I would be, join the club. It's awful. It's terrible. We got to whatever. And now just a few months later, I'm just like, ooh, how uncivilized. Oh, join the rest of the world. Oh, my goodness.
We're beyond that. So barbaric over there in the Cayman Islands.
Seriously, I felt that and I was like, wow, that's really weird.
It's so backwards over there. Wow.
Does anyone else feel that way? I don't know.
No, you were a terrible person. It was like 5 months ago.
I know. And I have acclimated so quickly to living in a United States that is slightly less intolerant than it was just 5 months ago.
And that's the thing. Like, it is only slightly. Like, because we're still dealing with the Kim Davises. We're still dealing. And we still have people that are fighting it here. They have one
governor and lieutenant governor.
Yeah. They have one less avenue to try to do it. But it doesn't mean they're done. The Cayman Islands still have the...
Oh, they're still not done with civil rights. There's still people trying to fight that crap.
Yeah. So, but the Cayman Islands still have this giant avenue of just being able to call them pedophiles and chicken fuckers or...
Excuse me, where did the chickens come from? I thought we were goats and sheep. That's
Yeah, you know what? If that's as bad of a thing he says during this show, let's just consider ourselves lucky and move on.
It's a win. It's a win.
There's a lot of show left. Just calm the fuck down.
Like, there are so many great cancer comments in our chat room right now. I can't possibly read all of them. I was going to say, I love the cancer shaker thing. So, meanwhile, many people in the Cayman Islands are asking where the hell the UK's response is to all of this, because the Cayman Islands are a British territory, and the UK has signed human rights treaties saying, and they address how homosexuals should be treated. And they're like, hey, what the hell is up with that? You've been very quiet about all of this nonsense going on in our country. So the press this week asked a British official about it. And basically what she said is, we are against it. And that was it. So
that was a horrible British accent, by the way.
Yeah, you're terrible at that accent.
It was
too.
kind of a Monty Python fake woman.
Is that what in your mind it sounded like?
Yeah.
I heard Mrs. Doubtfire.
Same concept. Same concept. I'll take it. Anyway, drive by fruiting. Yeah? No. Okay.
So I was unaware that the Cayman Islands were a British territory. Does that mean they are part of the British Empire still? I don't know how that works.
Is it kind of like the way?
Oh, if they're like Canada,
But
then
no. But Canada is a sovereign nation.
Right.
These
Is
are
it
an
kind of
official
like
territory.
the way we take care of Puerto Rico? Like they're going broke as fuck right now, but no one seems to care.
I didn't know any of that, but
Exactly.
because I'm an American.
Right.
Fuck
No.
yeah.
Okay, so it is a territory.
Yeah.
The British still have some responsibility to make sure that it doesn't degrade into.
It seems like they have some sort of sovereignty that they can make some of their own.
Well, right, sure.
Again, yeah.
It's so sad because that's such a
Are you
pretty place.
moisturizing with beer over here, Schaefer? Is that what's going on?
And there'll be more of that in the post show, but you're gonna have to pay $1. I want my $7 from that post show first.
Oh, we're up to like what, $42
Something like that.
Yeah, we're doing pretty good. Yeah.
Thank you to all of you people who are supporting our show. Well, who want to support our show. Last week was the first time in a while that we had a post show to post. I think that this week is evidence, and I'm going to check to make sure the video is still going. Yes, it is.
Yeah, I got it going up here.
Okay,
yeah,
cool.
no, it's going.
Yeah, I think the problem is not our computers. I'm pretty sure it's the internet at Sheshua.
You ever seen a bunch of atheists get
Laid, killed,
No.
persecuted,
No.
Sexually objectified?
No.
Eaten alive?
No.
This is degrading quickly.
Scaphism?
Brown-backed?
I've heard I'm not supposed to Google that.
Do not Google scaphism.
Chat room.
Screaming seagulls?
No.
Just going through all our post shows.
You're not letting me think of words, and it's pissing me off. Stop it. Superstitious. Fuck. You ever seen a bunch of atheists get superstitious as fuck? Mention that the show's working.
I know, right?
And everybody's.
We're all like, knocking on wood. Oh, I brought my rabbit's foot.
I know people in the chat room were like, when I was saying, oh, everything's working, they were like, don't jinx it. Let's all say a prayer or something. Make sure that the show continues to work. Yeah, so apparently it's not technological, it's internet related, I'm guessing. But anyway, let's move on. We talked last week about the town of Port Neches, Texas, which is apparently how you pronounce that.
Neches.
Neches. Okay.
Okay.
That's the town with the ginormous cross in the public park. This week, it's like, what is it going to be? A sneeze? Is it going to be a cough?
It was a burp. I told you I'm going to be burpy this show.
Party on. This week, the fighting is heating up. Christians got together to make hundreds of crosses. Over 1,000 crosses they made that they're going to distribute to Christians throughout the town to display in their yards to show support for the cross in the park. Can one of you please explain to them what they're missing here? Because I can't even with this fucking crap anymore.
Yay! Keep it in your fucking yard! Yes! That is the perfect place for your crosses. I can only think of one other place that is better for your crosses.
A church. Yes?
Right. A church.
Your house, your church. These are fine places for your cross.
Your backyard, living room.
Neither of those places were going to be the place I suggested for their crosses. I was so shocked when you weren't on board with that.
I am so ashamed of myself.
I am equally ashamed.
So I just I need to point out something here. Like they did this huge thing. They got together and made over 1,000 crosses. They nailed 2,000 pieces of wood together with 1,000 nails. And that's what they did.
Did they make little Jesuses to go on them?
And wait, they also painted them white.
Spray painted. Yeah.
No, they had like little rollers. They were.
Oh.
Can you imagine how much money that cost? That's a lot of material. And I couldn't help but think, what would Jesus do with that amount of money? What would that character do?
Turn gay people straight.
Reparative therapy for everyone.
Yay.
Shame you for masturbating.
I can't help but think that maybe there are better uses for their money, because not only did they make a thousand crosses, and I want to say it was super creepy looking at that many crosses. I don't know whether you guys watched the video or not, but
did you hear that? No, 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 no. That one.
I hope you just get the actual sound clip and put it in there. That was
what
horrible.
if you? What
that
if
was just horrible.
You can't criticize me on my own show.
We do that all the time.
I know, it's kind of like the point of the show.
Like, what if you didn't know what was going on and you just walked into a room with them? It would just be like, oh, fuck. And you would just back out real slowly. I would be terrified if I didn't know what was going on. If I did know what was going on, but if I didn't know what was going on and walked into a room with just 1,000 white crosses laid about.
All of these Christians with hammers. Yeah. What are you doing here, boy?
Shit, a bunch of us are about to get crucified.
So not only are they spending money on making 1,000 of these things, their goal is to have 5,000 by Christmas. That's a lot of.
They're like Jesus' little elves.
It makes it really easy to target which houses to throw Molotov cocktails at. So
that's not a very humanist thing to do, Rod.
I'm just saying they're identifying themselves. So, I mean,
they're practically
it's
targets.
all the easier to persecute you with, my dear.
Well, the opposite of that point is, could you imagine living in this town and not putting a cross in your yard?
I would put all the not crosses in my yard.
Right.
I would have a sign that said, please note the void of crosses in my yard. Fuck you.
I was like, just go house to house and just turn them upside down. All of them.
Like, just in case, when you see something and you see a bunch of crosses in one yard and there's a house without a cross, but you didn't really notice that one because there's so many, I would want them to know. I'm like, where do I get a neon lit arrow at this time of day?
I do want to note that our chat room got your joke, even though I totally missed it. Tech Rock and Killuminati were both simultaneously your ass, where the cross should go. Sly Monk says, crucifix pleasure stick, to which Tech Rock says, now with vibrating Jesus, he'll nail you. Oh! So the organizer of the cross thing said to local media, quote, even if the cross is taken down, we're still going to have God here in our hearts.
Good.
Okay.
That's exactly where he fucking belongs.
Keep it there.
In your yard, in your heart, and the other place.
In your ass.
There it is.
I get it now.
Finally.
Oh my God.
Are they going to sharpen the crosses before they stick them in
did you see
yards?
they are sharpened on
because I got to put them into the ground.
All right, so.
Ooh, a bunch of sharpened white crosses. That's so weird. Even if I were religious, I would be like, I have got real shit to do, which is why I don't come to meetups. So it's true that I would feel like that regardless.
It's like when I first saw the picture and they were painting them, I thought for sure like they were going to go to that park and just plant a shit ton of crosses there. I was like, oh, no, they didn't. And then I read through it. It's like, oh, you're just following the law now? That's
come
weird.
on. But come on. They're going to have another prayer vigil this Sunday where they're going to distribute these crosses. You have got to, I guarantee you.
So people are going to leave some behind.
They're going to be a ton behind. And if I were one of those local atheists who gave them the nice letter and the cookies, I would be right behind them.
Just have another letter. It's like, we'd be happy to clean up these crosses after you leave.
We're just going to burn crosses after you're gone.
We got a fire permit.
I would just go make, I don't know, like 2 other letters and go stick them in everyone's yard.
An I and a T.
Right? Exactly. Well, tit, just random words just throughout the city.
We already got like a T from the cross next door, and then you could just take another cross apart, and then you got the I's.
Right?
They're
Two
practically
I's.
making it for you.
Titties.
Oh my God, I would love to see that news story. I would love to see how they decided to cover that. Tits everywhere.
Now that's starting to sound like my kind of town.
Slymug in the chat room says something that I don't really quite understand, but it still kind of made me giggle, so I'm going to read it anyway. He says, when I get close to a church, I always expect the steeple to fall off and impale me, leaving me standing there holding a bag of shit in one hand and a lighter in the other.
No.
So he's saying every time he goes by a church, he's gonna go light the bag of shit on fire on the thing, but he expects the steeple to come down on him.
Thank you for ferrising the joke.
Yeah.
I didn't actually understand it until you explained it, so thank you.
I appreciate that.
I got it.
He didn't.
I got it.
Because
the chat room and I get each other. I don't know where the fuck you guys are tonight.
No, I understood the joke. I was just saying, I don't know why this is being said. Meanwhile, during all of this, the mayor is still being a dumbass. He claims that the Freedom from Religion Foundation is trying to remove religion from this country entirely, which is, I can't even. No one cares about your religion, man.
Just the stuff you don't own.
That is so fucking tired.
Yes.
It is just so fucking tired.
I don't care if you celebrate Christmas. I don't care if you have a cross on your yard, in your ass.
Like, people that are religious fucking get this.
Yeah.
The FFRF has like pastors and on their council. They get it.
Yeah, what's that guy that we heard talk? What was his name? He was at the secular conference in Austin.
Oh, the Atheist United for Separation of Church and State guy. Yeah. Barry Lynn.
Yeah, that guy.
Reverend
Yeah.
Barry.
Okay,
like
right,
that guy,
exactly. That Reverend, yeah. I've seen stuff about him on YouTube and the news and blah, blah, blah. He gets it. Mm-hmm. He's a reverend.
Granted,
it's
he's like the
not-
most liberal reverend I've ever met,
But it's not a hard concept to understand. Nobody wants your religion. I sure as fuck don't want it. It's for you. I want you to have it at your house, in your church, right? In your ass. I don't have room for your religion in my ass. I've got other stuff there.
I'm watching porn and anally masturbating.
Right? I don't have time to make that list right now. But anyhow, it's not like religious people are immune from getting this idea, this concept.
it's like you can still talk about religion in public places. No one's stopping you from expressing your ideas. Just don't put a cross on public property.
This isn't a hard concept.
No.
At all. So worse than even that, the mayor says that though he is committed to fighting them, he's committed to fighting the FFRF. He told the crowd of Christians, quote, "We may lose." Yeah.
May.
That's so cute. "But I'm just telling you this. When we come out of the fight, they will have 2 black eyes, a broken leg, and a broken arm, and we may look worse. Yeah. But they'll know they have been in a fight." I just like, LOL, guys.
It's not going to be like the Rocky fights.
Right.
It's like you will get the shit beat out of you, and like FFRF will be just fine at the end of the day.
They will have a big fat check in their wallets while they walk out of.
It's going to be more like the Karate Kid fight.
They're going to beat you up and take your lunch money.
Like almost literally. Like they're going to just take your money.
Like $160,000 in lunch money.
And at the end of that, they will still have to remove their magic crossbeam. So
Their giant lowercase t.
Right. All the tits have to be removed from the city.
I'm never going there.
I don't even know where it is. Do you know where it is?
Find out where it is so we never go there.
It's near Beaumont, I think, or south of Houston, or somewhere over there.
I know I was reading the comments in one of the articles you read, and I think it was on this one. I had never thought of it this way, but if like Jesus had been like executed in an electric chair, we'd have electric chairs all over the place, like that, and that would just be really weird. Like,
It's really weird that we have crosses all over the place, Reb.
but like, I just had never made that connection before.
So-
Like that. I mean, you know, it was a execution device, but like, I never connected like, oh, it could be an electric chair. If
I
it was
wonder
more
if
modern.
they've ever considered how Jesus feels about that, because just so you guys know that if I'm ever killed in a particular way, which I probably will be because I'm kind of an asshole, so my odds go up exponentially.
A little bit.
But say like I'm stabbed in the face with a knife and that kills me. If you guys could not put knives everywhere.
It's like on the tombstone, just a big,
Right,
huge
like a
knife.
knife, and I don't want you guys to get like knife necklaces and like knife shirts and like hang knives on your wall. If you guys could not do that in my memory, I would seriously appreciate it. Like, or if I'm beat to death with a stick.
I gotta say, like, just you telling me that you don't want that means that it's going to happen.
It's like, it's a car wreck. We're just gonna put like this totaled car on your headstone.
That'd be awesome.
I'm more likely to get stabbed in the face with a knife. But right, exactly. That's the point I'm getting to.
Okay, so before we move on, I want to remind everyone of upcoming events. Our next homeless giveaway is going to be on Christmas Eve this year, so please donate items or cash if you can. You can get the Atheists Helping Humanity Amazon wish list at bit.ly.com/Atheist Airwaves. And if you're a local, please come out and help us distribute this stuff.
And you may think like, you know, who would be, you know, homeless on Christmas Eve, but there will be people there. As sad as that is, there will be people there that will need supplies.
And if you have anything personal to donate, any warm jackets, hoodies, warm weather clothing, or anything on the list that you have bought, I'm totally willing to do pickups, and you can find me on Facebook. I'm usually trolling the Atheist Airwaves page.
Yeah, she's a pickup artist.
Yeah.
Also, patreon.com/Atheist Airwaves. If you would like to support our show for as little as $1 an episode, you can get access to our post-show content. Alternatively, you can get access to that content by showing up every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. Central. We start the post-show directly after the show, hence the name post-show. This week, we're going to be talking about, in honor of the Catholic bishops, we're going to be talking about Playboy not publishing nude photographs anymore and porn in general. We're also going to be talking about our Thanksgiving plans and the fucked up theist family members who are going to make it awful. So, Ashraf Fayyad is a Palestinian poet who was just sentenced to death by the Saudi Arabian government.
Try to muster some actual sympathy.
Right.
Well, no, we just went from Playboy and Thanksgiving to death penalty for atheists.
Boobs and beheadings.
More we have to talk about sad stuff.
That's a show title right there. Fayyad's crime is blasphemy and trying to sell a book that allegedly promotes atheism. That is all you have to do to have your head removed by Saudis. Remind me never to go there.
And also, I would like to remind any Christians that are not watching, but if you have Christian relatives and friends, please remind them, this is what persecution looks like. You can see the persecution from your body as your head rolls away. You can watch your body be persecuted as your head rolls away.
Well, there's like a good 10 seconds. You're still conscious, right?
Right. For being an atheist.
I doubt it's 10 seconds, but probably 3, maybe.
They did experiments.
Long enough to see what persecution looks like.
3 seconds is longer than you think it is. Yeah.
That's what persecution looks like.
So I'd figure the whole, ride up to the beheading would also be a pretty good indication.
you get to see the guy's sword and yeah.
Oh, they do it with a sword still?
Yeah.
Oh wow. I figured like a modern guillotine or something.
Yeah, I was like, has France not exported the guillotine yet?
No, they have very specific kinds of swords. Jay could tell you what kind of sword it is. I don't remember, but they do it in one stroke, just shoom, shoom.
Assume it's some sort of like.
Well, that's
scimitar?
nice of them.
Yeah.
If I was going to go through the trouble of beheading someone, I would make it a lot more brutal than that.
They're very Eddard Stark about it, I guess.
Yeah. I would use an axe, maybe.
I would use like a rolling pin.
It was the best of shows. It was the worst of shows. we promoted executing people with rolling pins. I don't know how.
I just said that was my personal weapon
you
of
and
choice.
you were on the show. So I did want to note that it's really interesting to me that almost half of the people that Saudi Arabia executes every year are not Saudi Arabian. Almost half of their executions are people from other countries. And that puzzles me more than anything else. That why does anyone allow this to go on?
So you think that would kill their tourism industry?
Right? Like, I'm not going there. Because I will just say something. I won't even mean to.
You would not get out of the airport before somebody chopped your fucking head off.
It's like, look at this picture of Muhammad I drew.
They would clothesline you with a sword as you came out of the terminal for something you said on the plane while you were in their airspace.
It's true. You're not even lying.
No, I'm so serious. I would make bets on how long your head stayed attached to your body in Saudi Arabia.
And whether they use a clothespin.
A rolling pin. A clothespin would be really hard. But honestly, I had a recruiter call me earlier this year and try to recruit me for a job in Saudi Arabia. And it pays.
Somebody's trying to kill you.
Right? It pays really well. And I was like, oh, I could do that for a little while and just, get a lot of money and then, come back. And I talked to my wife about it. And she's like, are you crazy? You'd be killed before you left the airport. Exactly right.
She's so smart.
Love your wife.
Saudi Arabia is actually having a record-breaking year for beheading people this year.
Yay. We know. Oh, that's horrible.
They have set a pace of killing one criminal at least every other day. Poets, atheists. A lot of the victims, 50% of whom are not Saudis, are actually children. They are beheading kids. This is their most prolific year since 1995, which I think is an outstanding testament to just how little effect the death penalty has on preventing crime. Because if you are chopping off people's heads in public squares where people are gathering to watch, you would think that would have a bigger impact than, say, lethal injection in a closet. So this is my plea.
It would work on me.
I don't think it would.
Why? Because we've met.
I just think that there are. We know.
It would be just like anything else I got in trouble for as a kid. It would just make me sneaky as fuck.
Yeah, and you'd get caught. You could get caught.
Yeah,
and then you would be killed. And
I would just get better at what I do.
You take baby steps. You work up to it.
Right.
Yeah.
So this is my plea for ending the death penalty, even in this country where we're not doing it quite as brutally or as often as they are
How often do
there.
we execute people here in America?
Not as often as that.
I know we don't do one every 2 days.
It's less than less than 100 people a year. Yeah.
And our population is way more than them.
Right. Exactly.
And we have far more people incarcerated as well.
Texas is jealous.
Well, you know why we have more people incarcerated.
Because it's new age slavery?
No, because we don't kill people as often.
No.
If we killed people,
that's not why.
If we,
it's like I'm trying to make a joke.
Oh, you're making a joke. Oh.
Right. Like if we killed half of our prison's population, we wouldn't. God, you guys, fuck.
I'm
there are
uncomfortable
100
with joking.
other things tonight that I could have been
I'm
doing.
relatively sure we're going to get some comments somewhere about this is why people hate atheists.
Saudi Arabia is our biggest ally over there. Did I stomp all over it?
No, that just makes me crazy.
Yeah. These are the people we turn to. These are the ones that a whole bunch of people right now are saying, why don't places like Saudi Arabia take more refugees? Because we don't want them going there to be beheaded. That's a good reason.
Yeah, but that's not why they're
No, I know that's
there.
not why, but it's a good enough reason for me.
Anyone want to guess at what the top 5 crimes for which Saudi Arabia removes people's heads are?
Apostasy, I believe, is
Apostasy is one.
I don't want to say anything now in case it means the same thing as apostasy.
Reb, what does apostasy mean?
It means speaking out against Islam.
Okay, so that's...
I'm going to say prostitution.
We're all apostates.
Yeah.
Nope.
You're a prostate. Speak for yourself.
Not prostitution.
Does that encompass speaking out against the government?
Nope.
Anti-government propaganda?
Nope, that is not in the top 5.
Okay.
So then that one?
There's only one. Apostasy is number 2. Number 1 is drug offenses.
Wow.
What? You get your head cut off there for drug offenses?
Yep.
Fuck that place.
That's not even the worst one. That's the one that makes the most sense. Out of all of these,
Whoa.
that's the one that makes the most sense.
I don't know about that.
Well, are you ready for the rest? Are you ready for this?
Yeah.
Okay. Next, we have adultery. You have sex outside of your marriage. You have your head removed. The last 2, witchcraft, sorcery.
So I wouldn't have my head removed for 2 out of 5 things.
Well, no, because no one can do witchcraft. No one can do sorcery. I'm pretty sure they're just like arresting people.
What's the difference between witchcraft and sorcery?
You're so uneducated, Brad.
Yeah, I honestly have no idea.
Witches and men sorcerers.
Is it just a gender difference?
I think it's a hat. Like if your hat has, if your hat is black and has a large rim, then you're a witch. If it's just pointy and has like moons and stars on it, then you're a sorcerer. It's a difference in headwear.
If you're a small animated mouse, then you're a sorcerer.
Angry Black Rant in the chat room just says apostate cancer. Which kills me. Also in the chat room, I wanted to throw out there is, God, there's so many people talking right now. I can't get back to it.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is awesome. I can't find it. Oh, well, I'm so sorry. That was really funny. In God We Trusted says they're trying to reach the same number of heads as barrels of oil. And they're almost there.
For every barrel of oil they empty, they fill it with heads. I didn't see shit. I did. I almost knocked my mic
and
over.
Killuminati like trembled all over your stupid joke and says the real reason
Yeah, your stupid joke.
The real reason why we imprison so many people, privatized jails. We make it profitable to imprison people, and that makes it wow. And our
No, I know the real reason.
I know, but I'm saying it so that we can head off the hate mail.
Got it, atheistairwaves.com.
Don't tell them. I was just heading it off.
He'll just forward it straight to me.
God, there's so many good stuff in the. I can't.
Ryan doesn't catch nearly as much shit as I do.
That's because I can edit his shit out. Okay. I do want to go back to
privilege.
I do want to go back to what Ryan was saying because these guys are our allies. These people are executing not just their own people, but people who are visiting their country at alarming rates. And I forget who it was who in the chat room because they kind of Sly Monk mentioned that Saudi is the head of the UN's Human Rights Panel. How does that happen? How is Saudi Arabia on the Human Rights Panel at all? They should, if they're in any of the hearings that this panel is holding, it should be as interrogatees being raked over the coals for what they are doing to people in their own country.
Right, they should be the example of what not to do.
Right.
Like, look at what they're doing. Don't do that. Don't do that.
I'm sitting here imagining that what would happen if an American contractor, what happened if Ferris took that job and went over there and they convicted him.
I know what would happen.
Of apostasy and they were going to chop off his head. Imagine the outrage that we would have over one American this happening to and them being an ally and all that. Yet we don't give a shit about one every other day, 175 a year, 180 a year.
And these are witches and adulterers, people convicted of drug offenses, people who are just saying, I kind of think Islam's bullshit. Shum, you're dead. This is a human rights abuse.
Like, what do they do with like a street performer that like goes abracadabra, like,
kill those motherfuckers.
Don't
Kill
do that.
them. No, kill them, please. And mimes.
But
I have no problem
that's
with
on
mimes.
a completely different principle, and we should do that everywhere, which is also a joke.
I enjoy street performers. I think they can be fun to watch.
Mimes.
Yeah, sure, even mimes. I enjoy the arts.
All right. So last few minutes of the show, all politics ball. this is your wrap up of all the crazy nonsense, religious-related crap that has gone on in American politics this week. First up, Ted Cruz sucks. Ted Cruz is currently polling at about 11% for the GOP nomination for President of the United States. And so he has struck upon what is sure to have absolutely no effect on his level of support. He's created a national prayer team. Yay, team. Cruz said that the team would, quote, establish a direct line of communication between our campaign and the thousands of Americans who are lifting us up before the Lord. Here's my cynical take on it. These are gullible evangelicals who are going to be signing up mostly for give us money emails from the Ted Cruz campaign.
What's that like?
Oh, Jesus. So Ryan is referring to the fact that one of you assholes signed us up for Marco Rubio's
and it
campaign.
totally wasn't me.
I got a letter from Ted Cruz this week asking for money. Marco Rubio. It was great. Thank you. You guys are awesome. I do appreciate the trolling.
You know what you should do is you should screenshot the email and put it out on Facebook that these people support atheists.
Oh, that's a good
idea. Is what you
Ooh.
should do.
Right? It's like that. They sent a letter to atheists asking for money. Oh, man, that would be amazing.
Right? Bless you.
God bless you.
Bless you, ironically, again.
Bless his heart.
I am so surprised I've gotten this far in the show.
So are we, but for different reasons.
Okay, so let's move on to the next idiot, Mike Huckabee. He sucks.
Oh, I do want to point out
Okay,
the
sorry.
Ted Cruz thing. I don't see how it's really any different than like kind of what Bernie Sanders is doing. I mean, it's the same deal. It's just, I'm going to send out emails, and then people set up little groups where you go and watch debates together. I mean,
that's very different. That's very different than what they're doing. I mean, what they're doing,
because Bernie.
No, no, it's very different because prayer isn't a thing, and watching debates together kind of is.
Bernie sends out little like, oh, look, we got a petition on change.org. If everyone could go there and give it one up, and then we can all be happy together that whales are being saved, or whatever the thing is.
So you're on his mailing list, is what you're telling me.
Yes, I am. Yeah. I donated money to his campaign because I believe in what he's doing. So
okay, so the difference being that if you go to change.org,
but I can still be critical of him.
If you go to change.org, and because Bernie Sanders told you to try to save the whales, then somebody's going to read that petition, and it might be a small thing that happens, but something actually results from that. Somebody at least is probably going to have to read it because 100,000 people signed it.
Right. So what they're getting on this email list is every week they send you a prayer request and a bunch of things you're supposed to pray for. They also get access to a weekly prayer conference call, which just sounds
like a Google Hangout.
Can we sign up for this?
You totally can.
And no, I mean, like the show, we need to sign up for this, like under
Someone's
your
already
email.
done it for us. God damn it. You bastards.
Because I want access to this phone call.
I imagine, you know what? I'll sign up and
I assume it's probably like a pre-recorded YouTube video, and then they just throw it out there and be like, you got to listen to it live the first time it went. Like, I can't imagine it. It's like literally like they're talking to people.
It'll be 2 weeks before we can do it, but I will join. I will listen to the damn thing, and I will record it, and I will torture you with the worst part of it. Mission accomplished shortly. Okay. Next up, Mike Huckabee, who sucks as well. Republican presidential candidates Ted Cruz, Ben Carson, Marco Rubio, Rand Paul, Rick Santorum, Mike Huckabee, and Carly Fiorina attended the Presidential Family Forum, which tells you there was nothing presidential nor family about that forum. It was a forum, though.
The table was very nicely decorated.
1 out of 3 is in bed.
No, straight white American families. That was okay. Christian, straight, white, Christian families.
All right.
That's who it was for.
Mike Huckabee took this opportunity to tell everyone what the number one problem in this country is, and let's hear it directly from his mouth.
Greatest moral threat we have is the loss of God consciousness. The fact that we don't believe that we're ultimately accountable to somebody other than the people that we see. A world in which we believe that we ultimately answer to God is a world that we live differently because we know that our ultimate judge is not the editorial page of the New York Times. It's not somebody who is going to cartoon us. It's not a political opponent. It's not some anonymous blogger. That one day we're going to stand before a holy God who created us. And he will judge us, not by what other people thought, but he will judge us by how we lived our life with integrity and whether or not we truly self-governed. And I've often, let me just finish this, because I think the last 6 words that we want to hear in our lives, we want to hear the Father say to us these 6 words: well done, good and faithful servant. And if we hear that, it doesn't matter what anybody else said, our lives have been successful.
This is a God who demands that you discriminate against your fellow Americans, sometimes calls for the deaths of others, including children, that wants you to not be a normal, natural, sexual human being, a God that is vicious, callous, and stupid. And if someone like that ever turns to you and says, well done, good and faithful servant, you have gone so fucking wrong in your life.
I was looking at that, or I was listening to that, and I was like, I don't even care if my own dad thinks I did a good job. and he actually stands in front of me.
Old
if he was
man.
like, if he was like, man, you really fucked that off, I'd be like, fuck you. It was mine to fuck off, not yours.
And that's why everyone hates you.
Right. No, that's cool. Including my dad.
Oh.
That's fine though. He doesn't.
You're
really.
tolerable.
Thanks.
To quote Barack Obama, you're likable enough.
Ah, nice. That's all I gotta be.
I really, this disturbs me because you will find some version of this idea in every single candidate on the right.
Because it works really well to not be accountable to the people that are in front of you and the people that write about you and the people that you govern. It's really nice to not be accountable to them and just be accountable to the version of whatever God you think wants you to be.
Yeah, it really is almost like the ultimate redirect. It's like, oh, I have to have God to be, I have to answer to a higher authority. Whereas you could just be answer to the actual people you're supposed to be governing to. It's so wrapped up in this, like, I have to have somebody higher than me in order to be a good person. When you could just like do good things and the people around you will judge you. Believe us. But we will judge you and let you know if you're doing a good job or not.
At great length.
For an hour and a half, we will sit here and tell you how good or bad you are.
See, I think it would be awful even if I were a religious person, because then I would have even more like reason to not give 2 shits, because I'd be like, I would be one of those people that took like literally only God could judge me. And people would be like, you're a terrible person. I'd be like, fuck you, only God can judge me. And like now I actually have to be held accountable by other people. I'm like, kind of fuck you, but
it's like you kind of have a point, I guess.
Right.
Shit. God damn it.
Like fuck you, because nobody else is gonna judge me, But really, if it would be even worse, because like I said, where does the imagination stop?
Well, I mean, was it what Bush that said like he got orders from his hairdryer?
No. He said he prayed every day, and Sam Harris said if you said that he talked to his hairdryer every day, how would that be any more absurd? So that was Sam Harris, but not George Bush. But same difference at the end of the day. Angry Black Rent in the chat room says, Huckabee seems to be losing steam. He realizes no one is listening to his God, grits, and gravy nonsense, but his tiny base. And I have to say that's true, but I'm really surprised because he did really, really well in 2008.
If it wasn't for the fact that Trump and Carson are eating up his base, I'm sure he'd be doing well enough to register in the polls.
I don't know where he's registering now, but
it's
the single digits. Single digits.
Yeah.
It bothers me more that Trump and Carson are doing better than a career Republican. I would actually rather see a career politician do better than Tweedledee and Tweedle creationist.
Carson is in free fall right now. His poll numbers in the last week have just plummeted.
Which kills me. You think Trump's would, because he's like, let's make every Muslim wear a fucking ID tag. It's like, how does that not kill your poll numbers? But no, keep skyrocketing.
It's a good idea to them.
It's a fucking country we live in. God damn it.
let's skip ahead because that was going to be something I covered a little bit later. But let's go ahead and listen to this clip of Donald Trump. Oh, do I have it? Did I not?
Oh, no.
Oh, yes, I did. I just didn't put it in.
He said something really stupid.
Yeah, so he did call this week for a national registry of all frickin' Muslims, and a reporter cornered him about that and how, and God went into the whole thing. But
he doubled down on it.
Yep, here he is.
Mr. Trump, why would Muslim databases not be the same thing as requiring Jews to register in Nazi Germany? What would be the difference? Is there a difference between the two? Is there a difference? Who are you with? I'm with NBC News. Is there a difference between requiring Muslims to register and Jews?
You tell me.
Nazi Germany?
You tell me.
Do you believe?
Why don't you tell me?
Do you believe there is?
You tell me.
Should Muslims be, fearful? Will there be consequences if they don't register?
I like the Rolling Stones.
I'm pretty sure that was the wrong clip.
No, that was it.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah, were you listening?
Well, it just said, "You tell me, you tell me, you tell me."
That was his response.
Oh.
Yeah.
And I'm like,
there were better responses.
you tell me. It's your plan.
It's like, yes, would have been a better response because it would have been something.
Like, well, Reb was right. Later, he doubled down and said, "Yeah, we'd have to do."
It's like,
some
we
of these things.
totally have to do that.
Yeah.
It's like there'll have to be databases and more. We'd have to do that and a crap ton more. This is like, dude, what are you doing? You're like Hitler. What are you doing?
You know, I'm not going to lie. When you say you tell me, and in the past that's ended in concentration camps, like that's where my head's going to go. It's like, you tell me. So then, yes. And it's not a good direction.
It's like, I hate making Hitler comparisons, but this is literally what Hitler did.
Right.
Literally.
No, when it's literally, then it's not a comparison. It's just literally.
So my hypocrisy meter just went through the roof when the same people that are voting for Donald Trump and who are supporting him in the polls right now and are saying, "Oh, I can't wait to vote for Trump for president," and all that kind of stuff. These are the same people that are absolutely defiant when you want to, increase gun control because they think it'll create a de facto registry of all the guns, but they're fucking fine with registering people for doing nothing.
Yes, exactly. And to Reb's point, this guy is a walking disaster. He has no answers for anything substantive around policy. And when they ask him, how are you going to get them all registered? He's like, it's going to take management techniques. It's going to take management. It's not an answer. It's bullshit.
He has no answers for anything. I'm so pulling for him to win because I think
that's scary.
It's dangerous.
That is so, he's like one
He's
vote
not.
away from.
He's not. He pulls head to head with Bernie or Hillary. It's so bad that they could have homosexual sex scandals and get divorced during election week, and they would still beat him. I don't think that there's any danger of that.
I think it's very scary knowing that you're one national vote away.
I've made that
from
argument.
Hitler.
I get that.
I can't. That's too scary for me. It's too scary.
I'm just going to say that if he does get voted president, then I'm on board with everyone keep your guns. I'm totally switching directions. I'm like, everyone go get lots of guns. Hurry. Just go as fast as you can. Buy them on eBay. Fuck your background checks. Get them off the back of this truck right here. File off the serial numbers. Everyone go get your fucking guns.
And everyone get the pistol doorknobs I was thinking about the other day. Oh, it's the best idea. It'd be great.
It's not going to be a thing. Stop
It's
trying
a
to make
thing.
that a thing.
Quit trying to make things that aren't things.
All right. I'm going to cut this nonsense off because I want to hit one thing before we go, and we're already over time. I want to hit a Democrat before we go. John frickin' Kerry, who sucked before he didn't suck this week. In speaking of the Paris massacre, he chose to compare it to the Charlie Hebdo attacks. He said, quote, "There's something different about what happened from Charlie Hebdo, and I think everyone would feel that. There was a sort of particularized focus and perhaps even a legitimacy." And this is the point at which his "oh shit, what the fuck am I saying" filter kicked in, and he corrected himself. He said, not a legitimacy, no, but a rationale that you could attach yourself to and say, okay, they're really angry because of this and that. he contrasted that with the Paris massacre attacks, which he said were, quote, absolutely indiscriminate. It wasn't to aggrieve one particular sense of wrong. It was to terrorize people. It was to attack everything that we do stand for. And I'm just like, really? Really? Because ISIS has been pretty clear about why they pulled off these terrorist attacks.
Right. So the terrorist attacks that they do, like they say why. Like they have even if they're
they
broad,
posted on Twitter.
Yeah. So there is that maybe, and I'm leery to defend at all what he said because I'm a liberal, so I don't want to come off as defending a liberal. But he did say something and then immediately said, "That's not what I mean."
But even if you walk back the legitimacy thing, to try to pretend that Charlie Hebdo wasn't an act of terrorism, which is what he said afterwards, that it somehow made sense in comparison to the Paris massacre. They are equivalent. If you're telling me that there's a difference between killing random people and killing cartoonists, are you kidding me? Are you kidding me?
I don't think he's saying that there was a difference as in the terrible thing that happened. That's not what I read.
Well, one was done with a specific purpose, like this guy did something wrong, thus I'm killing him.
Right.
Whereas the other ones were done like there's just random people and we're killing them just to kill random people.
And
he's saying that the Paris massacre was an act of terrorism, that it was indiscriminate.
Did he say Charlie Hebdo was not terrorism?
What he said was the Paris massacre attacks were, quote, absolutely indiscriminate. It wasn't to aggrieve one particular sense of wrong. It was to terrorize people, which indicates that he doesn't think that Charlie Hebdo was to terrorize people. He says it was to attack everything we do stand for. What he's saying is that Charlie Hebdo is kind of reasonable. You could understand that.
Yeah, we went out of our way to offend
I think it's a
them,
stretch
just-
to say that he was saying he was kind of reasonable.
Right, but
I think he was certainly defining it incorrectly.
The Charlie Hebdo deal was to address a certain, like, they drew a cartoon of Muhammad. We hate that. Thus, we killed the people
But
that
it
did
was
it.
still to terrorize Western civilization.
Right,
and that's
right.
Ferris's point.
I
Like,
think to be fair, like a lot of people, he doesn't know the definitions of the words he's using. I find that is more often the case, is they just don't know how to articulate what they mean with their
Which I don't even
limited
know, like,
vocabulary.
I don't really know what like point he was trying to make. Like, oh, the Charlie Hebdo thing. Like, oh, that was nothing. Like, I don't get like why this even came up.
If that's what he meant, fuck him running.
Yeah.
If it's because he doesn't know the definition of words, no.
I think that words matter, and I think if you're
Fuck yeah, they do.
If you're Secretary of State and you say some kind of disgusting crap like this, I really don't care if it was on purpose or by accident. You fucked up. You fucked up.
No,
I think that's
no,
our
definitely.
show. Thank you for listening to Atheist Airwaves, sponsored by Corpus Christi Atheists and the South Texas Coalition of Reason. If you would like to compliment, complain, or make a suggestion, there's so many suggestions. Please write to us at god@atheistairwaves.com. Thank you to Tombstone to Dead Man for our outro music. If you would like to support our show, $1 per episode will get you access to, and Heather really has to pee.
So bad.
And during post show, she's gonna have
since like 7:45.
she's gonna get a beer facial. So
Patreon.com/Atheist Airwaves, and you can hear all about that.
the post show is gonna be great.
See you guys next week.
Oh, there is technically a bathroom in there too.
Oh.
Oh, my arms.
Being a skeptic is so much more than being an atheist. And until you accept that, you won't relate to this.
Although now looking at it,
that you
it seems really,
experience when there's things you claim to believe in,
they need
but
to be
ain't
added.
living it. Most of you say you are the type to question everything until I hear the conspiracy.
Well,
theories that you echoing.
yeah, we'll
And when
meet
I
up though, they were like, oh
things
man,
you
this
try
shit
to say
like
a
a
lie.
pistol door
Expose resources and suspect. I say it all dies. Some still believe in pseudoscience, engage in special pleading when things
Yeah,
should
just,
be
yeah.
the exact same reasoning. I've even
Or
seen
turn it like, you know, like
ignorance and
Or like Gangland style, you know, like turn it sideways.
Without the ability to analyze, it's just as bad as the fears.
But it already exists. It's here. Like I just Googled. It's an amazing idea. Although I've seen, like, there's better ones now where it's just like a pistol up and down. You just grab it.
Bullshit. So I'ma call a spade, no matter who asserts it. Nobody's perfect and just one lie. It's all perverted. Free down the curtains on that sad display. The only ways to question yourself and all the things you say. Start the day. And maybe we can rise above and be examples for others to emulate. And that's the way we win this battle. So this is where I'm making my stand. And never colors who don't like it or how they get mad. See why the rest of y'all capitulate and go with the plan. I'll be beating on this wall until I'm breaking my hand. So listen while I state official policy. No matter how I'm threatened with hell, that never silence me. I know that you don't see this as imperative, but I refuse to lose and let the stupid frame the narrative.
Well, I'm used to shaking up my soil. So every time I get a bottle.
So what is Soylent and what's it do? And why do you use it?
It's a complete meal replacement.
Oh, okay.
So like each bottle is like a fifth of your daily calories, a fifth of every thing you like. Like if you look at like a back of like a vitamin pill or whatever that has like a once a day, like in each bottle has a fifth of each one of the things you should need, and just comes out to straight 100% daily recommended. So it's like as balanced as you could ever have your diet be would be those bottles. So.
I've never understood calories.
Okay.
I haven't. I've never understood like calories and what they mean.
Well, like everything you eat has calories.
Right. No, I understand.
It's the unit of heat produced after 1 calorie of work.